What is up, guys? It is Kenniron here, and a trailer for the upcoming Bumblebee movie just dropped yesterday, and there is a lot of stuff in it there that can be missed or be speculated about. So, I'm going to go over the trailer in detail, talk about some speculations, and show you what you may have missed before giving my own personal thoughts on the trailer and the movie. So let's delve into it, shall we? Honestly, I'm just going to disregard the whole 3-2-1 thing, but the trailer starts off with a callback to the first movie, with Bernie Mac's character saying, "The driver don't pick the car picks the driver." Now, I'm not entirely sure why they decided to include that in here, considering this movie takes place before the events of the first one. We know that because every single vehicle shown in the trailer is an older model, and there's no sign of modern technology. So why would they have a line that's supposed to be said in the future show up in the trailer? There's a few different reasons why they could have put it in here. For one, it was said when Sam went to purchase Bumblebee in the first movie, so it's kind of, it's a callback. But they could have also included it to honor Bernie Mac after his passing, although they're a few years late on that one. Or they could have just shoehorned it in here because they didn't have anything else to include in the trailer. And I honestly doubt that we'll even hear the line in the actual movie, but I've probably spent way too much time on just this single line anyways, so I'll move on. One of the first things we see is the main character lady finding a broken down yellow punch bug and taking it to her garage. There's two shots in the sequence that I'd like to point out. The first, what's the deal with the hive forming underneath his fender? I get it, you guys think you're clever. Oh, he's Bumblebee, so let's put a hive of not bumblebees inside of him. Seriously, those look more like honeybees, or even wasps, or whatever else. Like, way to screw it up, people. You had one job. The title of the movie is literally Bumblebee. Not honeybee, not wasp, not yellow jacket, and not hornet, but Bumblebee. How do you get that wrong? Okay. That was a tangent, that was a joke. So, the next shot is the one where she's driving around in Bumblebee, and there's a kid riding in the passenger seat with her. Now, who is this kid? Is it her son? Her nephew? Is it a transgender daughter, maybe? I really don't know who the heck he or she is, because they never really show much of him after that. And it makes me feel like he's not that important, but I could be wrong on that. Now let's get into the juicy stuff. She gets Bumblebee into her garage, and he does the usual turning the radio on thing to get her attention, and then you see an arm or something fall out from underneath the car. That's when she investigates and sees his face underneath the car before he decides to wake up or turn on or whatever it is he's doing and transforms into a standing robot. He's got a slick new design that fits the aesthetic of the punch bug, and he's noticeably short, as his head doesn't even touch the roof of the garage. Now, this brings up two major questions, the most obvious of which is, how does he grow to be, bigger in the other movies? Like, what kind of balanced breakfast is this man eating? And then the second major question would have to be, how does he end up back in space so that he plummets back down into Earth's atmosphere at the beginning of the first movie? Also remember, he didn't have a vehicle form in the first movie until he scanned the Camaro. So, these are just some questions that hopefully this movie will address. So we continue on with the trailer, and we see that he immediately goes to cower in the corner of the garage for some unknown reason. To be quite honest, I think it's a bit ridiculous. A giant robot afraid of a little unarmed human. We also learn that his voice is messed up, big surprise there, and then that's when they start up the montage. Bumblebee running away from something in a forest while bullets are flying at him. Her and I guess her son are riding happily in the punch bug. Then you see her diving in what looks to be a river and coming face to face with Bumblebee underwater. One thing to note is you can't really tell if his eyes are open. There's no blue light coming from his face to illuminate hers, so that may be an important scene for the story as he could be severely hurt. Then you see him transforming and kicking up sand all over her on the beach. And then in the next shot, he picks her up and runs away from what looks like the military, considering the guy standing in front of them looks like John Cena, who we see in the next shot to be a big part of the military in this movie. There's also a military Hummer in the background, and it seems that there are people being arrested or held hostage or something. And then there's a shot of Bumblebee seemingly landing after a jump, and it looks like he's got his mask on, so you know he means business. But probably one of the biggest scenes we see is the next one, where it looks like Gen 1 Starscream is transforming midair, which brings up many questions on the plot of the movie. Is Starscream working with the military to try and capture Bumblebee? Or is the military just chasing after both of them and they get into some confrontations while being chased? Or maybe there's more Decepticons that are trying to hunt down Bumblebee, and that's why he went into a sort of sleep mode. That would explain his fear when he transforms in the garage. But in any case, it's exciting to see another Transformer. After that though, Bumblebee is seen in car form, about to slide down the side of a mountain. He holds himself up by popping his arm out the side of the door and grabbing the guard rail while still speeding along. You then see him and the girl hugging each other in the garage while she says, "You've got people out there that need you," which kind of implies that she's not the first person he's been close to. And I don't believe she was talking about his fellow Autobots, because she probably wouldn't have used the term people to describe them. But I suppose she could have also been talking to her son or some other important human character. About the time she says people, it cuts to the scene where she's talking, and in the background you can see the Golden Gate Bridge, meaning that this takes place in San Francisco. This is also backed up by the fact that previously in the trailer, when she first finds the yellow punch bug, she is on a dock. They then show a shot of Bumblebee's mask transforming onto his face, and it looks a lot like a yellow hornet, which is pretty sick. Then he catches a falling helicopter on the docks, before cutting into a slow motion shot of him. This is significant because in this slow motion shot, he looks to have taken the form of one of the military jeeps, which is surprisingly fitting for him. Whether he sticks with the jeep or changes back into the punch bug is unknown. And the final part of the trailer is her telling him that he can express himself through music, which she then promptly Rick-rolls him before he spits the cassette out as a projectile, hurtling at least 20 miles per hour at her face. And I'm calling it right now, that whole projectile cassette bit will be important later in the movie. And then, that's the end of the trailer. So there's a pretty good amount of information in this trailer, and it all looks pretty good, I gotta say. I really like what I'm seeing so far. I kinda lost hope in the Transformers movie after that god-awful Age of Extinction. I haven't even seen The Last Night yet, but this movie looks like it'll be pretty redeemable. Yes, there will be some of that mindless Michael Bay action and military involvement, but there's also a light-hearted side to it. It kind of feels like Herbie, and no, not just because he's a punch bug. There are only two gripes that I have with the movie so far. One is that I feel like they aren't going to answer certain questions, like how he grows to the size he is today or how he gets back into space. And the second is that it feels kind of like lazy writing. It's the same exact thing that happened in Age of Extinction. Mechanic finds a broke down Transformer. Mechanic takes Transformer back to their garage. Mechanic is surprised to find that Transformer is actually a Transformer. But even if the writing is kind of lazy, it definitely still looks interesting. Bumblebee has always been my favorite Transformer, and I can't wait to see how this new movie does him some major justice. Well, that's all I got for you today. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Kenniron, out.